Okay, so I'm about halfway back to Las Vegas from the Joshua Tree National Park. Maybe not quite halfway, and I'm making a little side tour over here to the Mojave National Preserve. And I got an appointment here to see something really cool at 11 o'clock. And look at that vast amount of desert out there. This should be another epic day.
The trees, they are singing to the tune of a song, and the wind is gently ringing the bell that brings the morning, the welcome of the dawn. The voice of the robin, the call of the dove, the red leaves are falling, the barn owl is calling, the welcome of the dawn. The dogs will be howling in the early morning light. All are happy to be out in the ending of the night, the welcome of the dawn. The nights are turning colder, soon the falling of the frost. Soon the summer will be over. You feel the change is closer at the welcome of the dawn. The trees, they are singing to the tune of a song, and the wind is gently ringing the bell that brings the morning, welcome of the dawn. Though the warm days are over, they are not forever gone. Like the dust brings the night, the summer brings the fall. It won't be long till harvest comes. Morning brings the welcome of the dawn. Daylight is calling, welcome of the dawn.
Well, up here on top of the Providence Mountain State Park, and I'm a little bit early for my tour of the caverns. So what I decided to do, the ranger suggested that I check out this little trail here, and it's called the Nina Mora Trail. Apparently there was a young child that died here back in the 1800s, and anyway, her grave is just up the hill a little bit. I'll show you as we walk back up there. Looking on the side of the mountain, you can see the trail that takes us over to the cavern. And of course, the hike will begin at the visitor center right straight ahead, and then it'll follow this trail all the way up. and around, and I believe I see the entrance to the cave off there in the distance. So we'll see. All right. And as you can see, we're coming up on the grave now. So sad to think somebody died so young. Anyway, coming off the trail, go up here to the parking lot and see the grave from this side. There's an inscription on top of the marker, but I can't read it. Okay, here we go, starting the tour. And the ranger said it's about a half a mile hike up to the cave. So it'll be good, get a little steps in today, a little cardio. And there's a memorial here.
All right, everybody, this is the memorial to Jack and Ida Mitchell, whom the caves are named after, Mitchell Caverns. Jack and Ida moved out here in 1930. Jack was a businessman in Los Angeles. He also had a mine over in Arizona, so he traveled back and forth between Los Angeles and Arizona, and in that time got to know people, and somebody that lives in the ranch over there actually showed Jack the caves that we're going to go into. So Jack didn't really discover the caves, but Jack was the first person to offer tours of the cave to make them like commercial. Jack and Ida lived out here from 1930 to about 1954. So how did they get their clientele to come out here was off of Route 66, if you guys are familiar with that highway, the old highway Route 66. There was a stop in Essex. At the time that Jack first came out here, there was no road from here to Essex. So Jack actually built the road from here to Essex.
And that's Essex Road that we drove on.
That's Essex, yep. Essex Road, and then if you go a little bit farther, there's actually, you'll run into Route 66 in the town of Essex. It's kind of like a ghost town now. There's still a post office there and a... So at the time though, there was more people and that highway was very busy, so that's where he got clientele to come out here. Ida kind of held down the fort. The porch that we were just on in the visitor center, that was actually their home. So when they first came out here, they stayed in a tent for a while, and they built that, all in their 50s too, and had help. They ran a little resort, those other buildings, so they slowly added on. They had 7 different rooms at one time. And of course, when people came out, most of them spent the night out here because traveling wasn't as quick as it was now back then. So they were kind of out here for probably a few days. Last thing to note is the trail that we're going to take out to the cave is very nice and flat. When Jack had his tours, he had people go down there onto the desert floor, walk through there, and then climb back up. So it was a much more rugged walk. So, yeah. All right. Any questions? Well, everybody, what do you think?
Was it some more cavern?
This is not Mitchell Caverns here.
I know. Yes.
But you may be wondering, how was Jack able to set up here and start building and giving all his tours? How did he get the land? What he did was he took out, in 1930, he took out 4 20-acre mining claims of all the land surrounding the cavern. So there's a 1872 law that said if you come out and you stake a claim and you're going to mine, you can improve the property with the intent that, you know, if something is found, maybe a town will form. It will be, you know, good tax revenue for the federal government too. So part of the laws of the mining claims are you have to actually show that you are doing some mining. So even though Jack came out here with the intent to give tours of the caves, he had to also show that he was mining. So this is one of Jack's attempts. He didn't find anything here, but we're kind of guessing too that maybe Jack, what he was looking for was another cave. So back in the day before Facebook and social media, how did you get people to find out about the caves and to come out here? He thought maybe if I discover a new cave, I'll get articles written about me in the Desert Magazine, I'll get a radio show. But if you look behind you on that rock, that kind of looks like some stone that maybe had, that possibly was inside of a cave before maybe. So we think maybe that's gave him an idea, well maybe if I go in here, I'll find another cave. Which he didn't, but he tried.
Yeah, I went out down that day.
Our guide has tons and tons of really great information too. Go and look down there in that valley. That's beautiful.
I just wanted to point out, there's part of Jack's original trail down there. You can see where the trail's kind of going diagonally on the hill.
Oh yeah,
So that was it. So they went up there and then they came up that way. So
Wow.
a good little hike.
That'd be a good
okay.
cardio workout, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And as you can see by these formations right here, all this was definitely inside of a cave at one time.
Yeah.
So if you look at the topography around here, and did everybody notice the eyes of the cave up there?
Oh, look at that.
Or the eyes of the mountain, I'm sorry, the eyes of the mountain. So the most recent native people that were here that used this, that we know use this cave, were the Mojave, and they actually called the cave the Eyes of the Mountain.
Wow.
So it was a place that they went to. I'm going to give you a little bit of a geology lesson. I'm not a geologist, but just so we kind of know what we're looking for. If you guys can come up a little farther so these guys can see this rock. So anyway, across from here was where Jack was mining. So this also gave him further evidence that, hey, maybe there is something under there. You can see flowstone and some stalactites maybe that fell off. So this area, so how was the cave formed? This is a limestone cave, and limestone is formed by, does anybody know? Okay, I'm going to try to tell you. You're right. So 250 to 300 million years ago,
Wow.
if you can imagine that, the area that we're in right now, actually probably all of California, was much closer to the equator, and it was also covered by a very shallow sea, very warm. So in that sea lived all the fish and the coral and the things that have shells. When those things die, they settle on the bottom of the seafloor and they turn into limestone. And that's what all this rock around here, with the exception of the rock on the top that's red, is limestone. So that was 250 million years ago. Fast forward to about 25 million years. That's when the cave started forming. So during this time, there was a lot of things going on. The continent was moving west over the oceanic crust. There was tectonic plates, mountain building, all these things. 25 million years ago, the water table was still above where we are. But the water and the rain and the things floating through the cracks in the limestone because of the earth moving up, so from a horizontal to vertical, the rain that goes through those cracks is filled with carbon dioxide from all the plant life, and that's able to dissolve the limestone, the calcium carbonate that's in the limestone. So that's what kind of makes the hole. So that was about 25 million years. So the cave is very old. In order for formations to form in the cave, you need air. So as the water table was raising and lowering in the cave, that's when you start getting the dripping coming through the limestone and forming the formations that we're going to see.
Stalactites and stalagmites.
You got it. You got it. So that's a very simplified version. Like I said, I'm not a geologist, but that's kind of what we're looking at, the limestone. And like I mentioned, the rock up there is actually rhyolite rock. And that's from, when the things come up, that's volcanic. So that's younger rock, very different colored, very different looking than the limestone. So that's just on top of that. Rocks that were horizontal are now vertical in the cracks. Yeah.
Some species do it more dramatically where they really like twist.
Yeah.
These ones are like not as dramatic, but they're always on the south facing slopes.
All right, everybody. Got another Jack story for you. So we have the left eye and the right eye. If you were on Jack's tour, you were not only going down there and climbing up, you were entering the cave from the left eye. So that involved like ladders, maybe some ropes, and at the time there was no lights in the cave. We now have electricity running out to the cave, but at that time there wasn't electricity, so people had lanterns or flares to go down there. It was Jack's wish, so like I said, he came out here in his 50s, and by 1954 he was in his 70s. It was his wish that the caverns go to the state of California. He wanted this to be a state park. He actually passed away before it was handed over to the state of California, or purchased it. And when California came in, they said, we can't allow people to go in the left eye. For obvious reasons. So what they did is they blasted out. So this eye that we're going to go in is the right eye. It stopped at some point, and you would have had to maneuver in. So people didn't really access it from that side. But if you notice the black on the ceiling, that's from fires, probably from the Mojave. It's a climate controlled area, so it might be 110 here, and you go in that little opening, it's going to be 65. If it's cold here, it's a nice climate controlled area. So they maybe came there to stop and rest, or possibly they took the pinion cone pines, and they open up by fire, and they can get the pine nuts out of there. So
All right, so we're going on in the cave.
Glasses, and here's one of the pinions that is opened. You probably saw some on the trail. Anywhere along here is fine, you guys. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's see if the lights work. Yep, we got lights. I'm gonna just stand here with my flashlight and you guys can walk by and I'll meet you on the bottom of the first set of stairs. So we can all behold the amber red. Yeah, looks like a rock. You can see how there's a, you know, they lived up there.
Excuse me.
Okay, everybody, this is the left eye.
Oh, look at it.
That's the left eye, so if you get an idea of scrambling down here, and of course this cement sidewalk wasn't there either, so they'd have to get all the way down
Oh my gosh.
to the bottom there, so not for the faint of heart, right?
Yeah. Well, people were really tough.
Okay, well, the tour is over, and I'd like to thank Jan for a most awesome tour. This truly was one of the best guided tours I believe I've ever seen and enjoyed. Her vast knowledge was second to none. So if you're ever out here in California, book a tour of Mitchell Caverns and she will hook you up. Thanks again, Janet. I
Thank
appreciate you.
Thank you.